What's going on, everybody? I just wanted to first off wish you a very happy Mother's Day. God bless all the mothers out there. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to take it somewhat easy today for this live stream, although it is quite the sensitive subject, so I'll try to be as respectful and honest as possible. But I do want to talk about the macro of the whole thing. Are we being set up? Because when it comes to this abortion debate, they're attacking houses of Supreme Court justices. It's getting crazy, but it seems like this didn't happen organically. It's not like everybody just woke up one day and this was a topic on their minds. It almost feels like we were forced into this debate. And I notice a lot of moderates that I'm following, people that are kind of on the fence, are seeming like this is going to sway their vote and opinion in the next election. So I want to talk about a few things. And I think I also have a solution. A lot of times when I talk about stuff or complain about stuff, people say, well, what's your solution? You got all these complaints. And I think political segregation, in the sense of not like racial or, gender or whatever, but political. Like, I don't think we all have to agree on everything. I don't think we all have to think exactly the same. I think that's fine. And that's what states and counties and local governance is for. So instead of constantly arguing, bickering, and trying to go after each other, why don't we just figure out what we want and then move somewhere that, mimics our values? But real quick, I want to show you this clip of Bill Maher learning that Europe has stricter abortion laws than we do. And there's a reason I want to bring this up. Just take a look.
All right, so people hate talking about abortion, so let's do it. I don't want to do it, but it's the big issue, and we got to do it, and this is what happened. And, it's interesting because until this memo was leaked and we found out that now, unless something very unforeseen happens, the Supreme Court is going to undo Roe versus Wade after 49 years, we haven't really been focusing on it, or maybe I'm projecting. I guess I haven't been enough, because I learned things this week, because this put it on the front page, that are pretty basic things that I did not know about abortion. Like in Europe, the modern countries of Europe, way more restrictive than we are, or what they're even proposing. If you are pro-choice, you would like it a lot less in Germany and Italy and France and Spain and Switzerland. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
That's right. Okay. I learned most people who are pro-life are women. Did not know that.
So two interesting points that Bill Maher brings up, okay? He says in Europe, they have a lot of stricter abortion laws than we have here, and also a lot of pro-life people are women. The reason I bring this up, there's a debate to be had. I'm not telling people you can't feel a certain way and stick to your guns. But when you listen to certain people, like say I listen to the women on The View, not purposely, but I find clips of them, and they're saying, women, now, I don't want to, I'm paraphrasing, but now is our time, women, don't have sex with men, don't do this to men, we're going to stand up against these men. And it's like, not all women agree on this stuff. It's, just be honest about it. Be like, a lot of women are pro-life, a lot of women are pro-choice. That's all I ask from the Democratic Party. It doesn't seem like they're able to do it. There's liars in the Republican Party, don't get me wrong, but it's like, let's just be honest about the situation. This is a complex issue. When does it become a life? There's a moral conundrum to be had, and I'm willing to talk about it, and everyone is. But, do all women agree on pro-life and pro? Of course not. I mean, like he said, most of the activists are women. But the left-wingers act as if they have a grasp on all women, as if they are mobilizing all women. It's just funny and dishonest. And then also he was bringing up how Europe, and a lot of places in Europe, they have even stricter abortion laws than America. And for these activists, it's not a matter of whether you agree with this or this, but it's do you know that? Are you willing to fight Europe? Are you willing to protest there? And, the same way we say we're going to invade countries when they don't have democracy, it's are you going to do that to Germany? Of course, Texas is easier to do it, or Tennessee or whatever. But it's why do we feel like in America, and I was talking to my buddy who's more progressive leaning, but I'm like, in America, we feel like everybody has to do what we say. I don't like invading countries in the Middle East because they're doing Sharia law, or they're deemed too radical. It's not my business. If they're attacking America, that's one thing, we have to defend ourselves. But if they're just running life differently over there. I don't feel like the moral arbiter of the world, so I'd rather focus on here. And it's the same thing with counties and states, etc. I think the answer is political segregation, where we have to just be honest about it, like Joy Reid and all these Looney Tunes from The View or Not. It's like, yeah, all women don't agree on that. That's okay. But why don't we do it in certain areas? Like if you really want to do that really bad, I mean, that's probably what would happen if Roe versus Wade was overturned. They would go back to the states. It's like, you try your way of life, like Venice Beach and, Hollywood Boulevard and all this trash, and you guys can't figure out how to police a city or clean it up, but you're worried about abortion and birth control, whatever. Okay, do it, try it. The same way that Saudi Arabia doesn't listen to me, the same way that Germany apparently has stricter laws than California for birth control or, for pro-life, but the activists don't care. It's like, why do we all pretend like we all have to do exactly the same thing? Why can't we get comfortable with this idea of like local governance? I don't want Orange County to be the same way as Los Angeles. I don't want Texas to be governed the same way as California. And if it gets too crazy in my state or county, I have to leave or vote or, that's just the way it is. But at the end of the day, I think we have such like different values at this point. There's no sense in pretending like we're all exactly the same. Why don't we just figure out what we disagree with and then, separate ourselves from that type of community? I don't know if maybe it's easier in my head. On that note, I wanted to play a clip of Joe Rogan talking about it as well, because he's a little bit more common sense. But, as far as the timing of this, definitely the Democrats had nothing to cling on to. There was no angle for them. How are we going to win this next election? Like, nobody really likes us. Biden's a fool. Trump's kind of out of the way, so we can't just point to Orange Man bad. We are running the government, so we can't play the outsider game of look how bad everything is. So, it's just like fascinating the timing, like overnight from Ukraine to COVID to, abortion. And I'm not saying that pro-lifers haven't been waiting for this moment and pro-choice activists haven't been waiting for a moment, but it doesn't seem organic to me. I mean, the leak obviously was not organic, but it just seems like I don't even want to debate about it too much. It's not because I don't have an opinion, but, I understand there's a moral conundrum. It just doesn't feel like a natural time to have the debate, like almost as if they're trying to do it. And something that I noticed was a lot of moderates on my timeline, people that I follow that are apolitical, that are kind of on the fence of both sides. It seems like abortion is this side that can get them to go to the left, even like Dave Portnoy, who seems very conservative, but he's a total fence sitter. I like him as a sports guy, but, politically he's a fence sitter. And he says this is going to lean him to the left. So I'm not asking people to compromise their values or to get softer. I don't like when the Republican Party does that. But I would say, try to have a valid argument, because sometimes like when the left wingers just screech and scream, they're so busy screeching and screaming and like terrorizing Supreme Court justices. I mean, they should be arrested for doing that. But in general, it's like they're so busy with that, they're not even realizing what our laws all over Europe, like our laws in America are considered radical to a lot of the world, because what the clip I'm about to play is going to explain that. So my thought to win over people, to make them understand the side of pro-life and understand this complex issue Republicans are on, is to just not be too emotional about it, not be too mean about it, not be too confrontational about it, because we have to understand, as crazy as this is, everybody learned something at a certain time. We all weren't born thinking this way. I mean, some people probably were. A lot of people were lifelong liberals. Some people were flip-flopping on this until they watched a documentary. So I think we got to be somewhat compassionate to realize that, if we just shove this stuff down people's throats, it's going to be off-putting. And not everybody has and I don't even like Bill Maher really, but not everyone has the common sense and logic of Bill Maher to be like, well, I never even knew that Europe had stricter laws. Like, he's kind of a dime a dozen on the left. There aren't a lot of people like him that are able to put their emotions aside and be like, all right, now that I'm studying this issue more, that's like me. I'm having conversations I never had. I'm learning more. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that. Now that's interesting. But most left wingers are just emotional. So in order to counter that, it's not like you can just like screech and scream like I feel like people are doing. It just feels like the masters are putting the left, the right, the pro, the con, and everybody's just brawling. But I do want to play this Rogan clip real quick where he's kind of having this moral discussion in his head. Is like, when is a baby not a clump of cells? Because when you look as it's growing up, it does become a moral conundrum where it does seem like it's more than just a cell. Take a look. I think this was a pretty interesting minute.
It's just, I just don't like, I don't like people telling other people what they can and can't do, but it gets weird when the baby gets like 6 months old. It gets weird when they're really, really pregnant, because in some states, for the longest, I don't know what the rules are now, but I know that some states had late-term abortions, and sometimes you need one for medical reasons, right? Like the woman could die if she gives birth. Like it's a decision that people have to make.
Well, if you look back, what was your favorite part of being a fetus?
Well, what was your favorite part of being 3? Should I be able to shoot you at 3 because I don't want to take care of you anymore? It's one of those things. It's like I am 100% for a woman's right to choose. But as a human being, just a person observing things, there's a big difference between a little clump of cells and a fetus with an eyeball and a beating heart. And for anybody to pretend there's not, you're not doing any
But
argument.
where do you draw the line?
Right, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
That's the question. And it's what I call a human issue. It's a very complicated issue. It's so fraught with emotion, and it's so political.
See, I think that's fair. A lot of people will, criticize Rogan for that, but although, we have disagreements, he's trying to wrestle in his head like, okay, that guy's like, well, you don't remember anything as a fetus, and Joe's like, well, I don't remember anything at 3 years old, so can you just kill a 3-year-old? Of course not. So Joe's like, you could tell he's actually has like a soul, and he's just like, it is a moral conundrum to figure out when it becomes a life. And this is, in my opinion, a more effective way to get to people on the fence that are considering voting Democrat or they don't really know a lot about the issue. This is when I became more pro-life, is when I started asking, and to be fair, the media hypes people up and they don't let people have real conversations. That's why they're so mad at podcasts. Because on a podcast, you have real people having real conversations, 2 hours, not this little media clip making both sides go insane. But it's like, I started realizing, okay, like clearly there's some sort of line to draw. We can all agree, or most of us should be able to agree, there is a line and we have to figure out that line, right? And this is what makes me side with Republicans more. From what I find is when, and maybe random people are not like this, but the media is like this, the Democratic Party's like this. You can't find any Democrats, Jen Psaki, Biden, they don't, if you try to say where is that line to be drawn, they're not really interested in drawing a line. And the second you draw a line, you say a heartbeat, eyes, second, third, you start to draw these lines where you're like, all right, we got to draw a line or else it's just going to, what, can you kill a 4-year-old? Of course not. So where's the line to be drawn? And it just seems like to me, Democrats are not interested in drawing a line, and they're always interested in lying about what you're saying. It's like if you say the line for teaching kids sexuality is do not teach 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds sexuality. Gay sex, certainly not. Straight sex, no. Don't do any of that. When you do that, when you draw a line for your children with the Democratic Party, nowadays they just say, don't say gay, don't say gay, don't say gay, don't say gay, and then they start getting angry and nasty and violent, and it's like, that's not what he's saying. You get that's what's making me lean right. These other fence sitters, maybe they don't pay attention that much, so they go left. Oh, they're trying to take this. No, that's always what the Democratic Party is trying to say. In some cases, yeah, Republicans are moving far right on certain issues, but you have to understand there is no compromising with the Democratic Party, because if you say, here's my line, they move the line up 50 feet and say, what line? The line. And it's like, so yeah, now I'm at the point where, although I understand it's a moral conundrum of when it becomes a life, I don't care anymore personally. This is just my feeling. I don't care where Republicans draw the line, because clearly the Democrats, you give them an inch, they take a mile. The slippery slope is real. You let people get married, now they're trying to sexualize 4-year-olds. It's not my opinion. It's not me blaming an entire group of people. It's just what's going on. So as a person, I'm like, there has to be an adult in the room, and unfortunately the Democrats are, in my opinion, are not the adult in the room. So I don't care what it takes to just get them to stop crying and lying. That's just how I feel. And I talked to a friend the other day because he was telling me someone that he knew was older having a baby, and they got rid of it at like pretty late, because now you can run tests on children that show whether it's going to be like special needs or not. Now they have all this sort of technology where, if we want to be fair, although, obviously I know most of my audience is going to support life, this is a new moral conundrum that we've never had to deal with before. It's the same thing with technology and Neuralink. It's like these are conversations we have to have because there's never been an animal or a human that had to deal with this type of even thought process. But now they have this type of technology where you can like scan your kids somehow, I don't know how this works, and figure out exactly what diseases and illnesses, et cetera, they're going to have. It's really interesting stuff. A lot of parents don't want to do that. They just want to have a natural birth and say, I don't want to know what my kid's going to be like. But especially because nowadays there is a lot of, issues with children. I would say a lot of issues. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's a lot of them that are on the all-time rise, and including very serious ones. And to me, that's a bigger picture that people need to talk about. Why are so many children being born this way? It's not normal. It's not natural. It doesn't mean you're bad or a horrible person, but something's going on where certain illnesses, diseases, and I would say, challenges for life are exponential, like growing at a proportion, and nobody's really paying attention to why. It's got to be something in our diet or a lifestyle or something, medication, things that they won't let you talk about. But now you could scan your child and really register like, okay, well, he's going to have a really hard time with living, and or this is going to be, and it's not only that, now the parent has 18 years of having to raise somebody that really is not going to grow into an adult that could function on their own. So it's really like a lifestyle of care. And now there's this extra conundrum that parents are having. Well, because they scan their kid and they know exactly how it's going to come out, that's, I guess, probably a very, very, very small percentage of abortions. Most of them are just like, whatever, get rid of it. But, for reasons, I'm sure people have some reasons, but most it's just like, yeah, I don't want to. But, it is like a weird thing because, like, you could scan your child and see all this stuff that you could never see. And people are making decisions based on that, a small percentage. But once again, it's like this conversation needs to be had in general. I'm not saying, people might think what I'm saying is messed up because I could get even more messed up with it. And I'm not saying this is right, but you go to certain, groups of animals, it's like they'll kill their own kids just to like move a step up. That's not right. I'm not saying that should be legal with humans, but it's like, as far as all of this stuff, it like, if your health is seriously hurt, I know it's a small percentage, but what I'm trying to say is get all the craziest stuff out of the way and say, all right, we can list every crazy scenario that could possibly happen in a child, in a birth, in a, abortion situation, but can we all actually have a conversation about it and figure out where the line is drawn so we have this moral understanding that we're not being wicked and evil and doing crazy stuff? And this is just my personal experience. Let me know in the comment sections what you think, because I think I have a lot of moderates who follow me. I know I follow some, and they're really passionate about pro-choice, but from my understanding, when Republicans try to draw a line, whether it's here, Democrats say you're Hitler, and they just like weaponize and radicalize people to go out to the streets and terrorize Supreme Court justices and commit violence and act like it's World War III without the knowledge of what Bill Maher found out doing research, which is like, we're in the radical area of later term abortions. This is considered radical and barbaric in most countries. You go over to even Europe, who in many ways are more liberal than America, a lot of our abortion practices are considered barbaric. So if you're this upset about America, go fly to Germany. I'll pay for your flight possibly, and you could go, protest over there, or you could go to other countries that cut it off completely. So this idea that Republicans shouldn't have a right to move that line, I disagree with that. In their own states, I don't think the federal government should be moving that line, especially when you have the media, the Biden administration, and Democrats. Whether you try to draw it at a heartbeat, conception, second term, third term, they're not adults. It sucks for me to say this because I don't, oh, you're a man, whatever. I'm not acting like I'm the arbiter of abortion. It's not really an issue that I know, I don't feel really even that comfortable talking about it. I don't want to talk about it every single day or anything, but all I know is I'm watching people try to draw some sort of line, and the Democrats just will not allow it. So it makes me as a voter say, yeah, I let the Republican Party put the line where they want. These people need to stop. And my solution is like political segregation on a county level or something. I don't think every single place has to be the same, but I do think conservatives and Democrats, but especially conservatives, should get stricter with what they believe and keep it within themselves. Like if you are in Texas and it bothers you so much that you can't get an abortion in Texas, then move to California. If you want to live in Texas, but you're more liberal and you can put up with that, but you want to live in a more, then go move to Austin, right? This idea of like California is getting almost unlivable for me. It's close. I like where I'm at. It's a conservative area, conservative county. It's nice. It's clean. Taxes suck. Certain things are getting out of control, but I like it for now. If California goes crazier and says, hey, anomaly, you need to wear a mask everywhere you go, that's state law, and you're going to get fined or thrown in jail if you don't wear a mask, then I have to leave California. I don't want to get kicked out of my area, but I'm man enough to be like, all right, well, there's 50 states and millions of people have done it before me. I guess I can't live here. The government's too insane. I'd rather go to Tennessee or Texas or Florida or pretty much anywhere besides California. And same with people in Texas. I mean, this idea that we're not allowed to find our own place, I don't understand why. Like, I'm talking to my left-wing friend, and I'm like, I don't agree with you, but I don't care. I don't want to live, I don't want to live in a place like that. And also, I'm starting to notice demographics a lot as I grow up, because it's just obvious. These are things that people don't want you to talk about, but there's certain areas that are super safe and certain areas that are super not safe. And it's like, everybody doesn't have to think the same, act the same, dress the same, vote the same, but at a certain point, people, I believe, have the right to their sovereignty and the right to their own community. And I think conservatives especially, but everybody, should start getting tougher with their community. This is my place. This is how we run it. If you don't like it, hit the road. And Democrats can do the same. And I have no problem leaving Democrat areas. I left Los Angeles. They run that city like hell. It sucks. It's not fun. The quality of life is garbage. The policy is insane. They don't know what to do with homelessness. They're complete degenerate with the media. LA is like hell on earth. I mean, there's some cool areas. I lived there for 8 years. I appreciated. I hustled a lot. I grinded. I worked hard. I became myself. But now you couldn't pay me to go there. It's just run like garbage. I moved to an area where we have, more right-wing leadership and more common sense leadership. And if it goes too far here, then I'll move my ass to another state. So I think we need to get comfortable with this idea of political segregation and stop acting like we have to think in it the same. It's like, if you live in a nice area, Texas, keep it nice. You know what I'm saying? Don't compromise a single thing. Tell people to go to Austin. If they want a different lifestyle, get out of here. Like, go there. Don't turn this into there. We don't want that. And when it comes to the abortion debate, I'm going to take some comments, but I just wanted to say real quick. One, I'm interested on the macro of it, of why this is a topic right now. And I think this is a topic because the Democratic Party needed some sort of momentum, and this is their momentum. And to be fair, it is making a lot of moderates and a lot of, no offense, people that don't think that much or that don't pay attention that much, just kind of like, culturally semi-interested, not really. It's really leading them towards the pro-choice side. And what I see out of the pro-lifers, and I don't want to, if you're super pro-life, do you. I think it's a valid activism, and I think there's a place for it. But at least with my channel, what I like to think about is like, more so, how do I not scare these people away? How do I not run these people over into the hands of the other side? And how do we have a real conversation? Because it is an extremely complex issue, and it's a moral issue, and there is a way to win the argument, I think, and be moral. And I personally, as a man, I don't know if that matters in this debate, but I don't personally have them. But I'm fine with Republicans drawing the line wherever they want. That's just my opinion. I've seen enough from the Democratic Party, not willing to compromise, not willing to debate, not willing to draw a line. Same with the LGBT stuff. I was way more pro that 7 years ago. Now it's not like I hate a random my gay friend and blame them for Rachel Levine, but at the same time, my idea of what that movement is and what that means is at an all-time low. I mean, I support it less than I ever have because the slippery slope is real. They went from, I just simply want to get a government marriage license and be miserable like straight, and let the government steal my money or whatever, to like, let me teach this to your child or else I'm going to say you're a homophobe. So it's like, yeah, now I'm done with the whole thing. It's like, have fun, do what you got to do, but I don't have to pretend to support it. And I don't think it's amazing or prideful. I think it's just getting weird and, worth a debate. And it's the same thing with the abortion stuff. I used to lean more to the pro-choice side, but once I realized what it really was, what they were doing, who these people are, and how they're not able to draw a line, I'm not one of these fence sitters like Dave Portnoy or Bill Maher who says, well, I support your right to choose. Like, I support your right to choose and have self-discipline, absolutely. And I think at a certain point, if we're going to give people this option and this window to get rid of it, I think the bare minimum, like they're like, get on birth control now. It's like, you want a bunch of women on birth control? I mean, what are these pills doing to women? What's it doing to their skin? What's it doing to their mind? I'm not an expert, but I think birth control seems to be doing quite a number on women, and it's not a good thing. So, as somebody who's older and wiser now, it sounds lame, but the best birth control is self-discipline, self-accountability, and, I think it's great advice. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't have wanted to listen to what I'm about to say at 23. I was an idiot. But to be honest, I mean, you shouldn't really have sex with people that you wouldn't want to have a kid with in the first place. To me, I live my life that way now. I'm not trying to get into my specifics, but now that I'm older, I have more options than I ever have. I'm successful. I'm older, whatever. I'm more, I guess, picky than I've ever been because I'm not trying to have sex with anybody that I wouldn't want a kid with. So this is advice that obviously young kids don't want to hear, and I get why. But this culture of just like do drugs, take birth control, listen to depressing music, like just get wasted and, just like get rid of it. It's like it's not healthy. We're losing like morality here. And I feel personally as somebody that is sympathetic to why people feel both ways, I definitely lean right. And the real reason is, besides the fact that I'm starting to see what's going on, is I'm willing to be real about the moral conundrum here and fair about it, but there's no line. You can't draw a line with the Democrats. You draw it here, they freak out. You draw it here, freak out. Here, freak out. Here, freak out. Don't say gay, don't say gay. Nobody's not wanting you to say gay. You're saying gay. You have gay billboards. Gay, gay, gay. Everything's gay. Cool. SpongeBob's gay. Every movie's gay. Disney's gay. It's getting creepy. But like no one's saying you can't just say the word. You're lying about it. So that's what I see as the Democratic Party. They're liars. So, I don't know what exactly to believe about, where these complex health medical issues come in. But it's kind of like the Ukrainian government. I'm not saying Ukraine lies all the time because I'm sure they tell the truth, but I listen to the Ukraine government. They lie to me 10 times. Now, every story they have, I don't believe it. Joe Biden's over there, Boris Johnson. I'm not saying they don't lie or they don't tell the truth, but, they've lied to me so many times. Anytime Ukraine government claims that this happened, I'm like, I don't believe you because most of the time you're lying. So that's how I feel about the Democratic Party. So Republicans, they got to do what they got to do. But I understand that there's a lot of moderates leaning towards the pro-choice side, and this is my attempt to show them why I feel the way I feel. And, you don't want to run off with the Democrats. I understand you don't have to agree with me. This is, everybody's got their own personal experience, but just like Bill Maher or Joe Rogan, although we disagree a little bit, they seem to have some sort of a thought process about it, not just complete emotions, realizing that other countries don't do this, and there is a line to be drawn. So as long as people understand that, I'm confident that their heart, their soul, and their mind will take them to the right side of this debate. But as long as it's just emotional and you just read headlines, they're trying to, it's like, they're really stirring up a lot of people and trying to win these midterms, in my opinion. Let's see. I'm going to read a few comments and then I'm going to roll out. Let's see. Someone said, why can't people just be responsible? Well, it's easier said than done, but I look at, I hate to really, I don't even like talking about abortion because it's just kind of gross in my opinion, but like, it's like the magic pill that they sell to people, right? The truth is, if you want to get thinner, you got to eat less, you got to work out more, exercise, like eat better. That's just the truth. Like if I want to take it from here to here, it's all that. There's little things you could do, take supplements, whatever, but it's like, why did that fat pill sell so much in America? Probably millions of people. Oh, the magic pill. It's this lie. It's this microwavable idea that you can just easily, get to where you need to be by eating this product. So this is kind of what they're doing with abortion and birth control. Like, I think birth control is destroying women physically, mentally. Like, this stuff is screwing their body up astronomically. For what? To not have a kid. I understand why you wouldn't have a kid. It's the same way if I'm fat, I want to lose weight. But the magic pill is not the answer with like the birth control pill. I'm not telling women what to do. Talk to your doctor, talk to your physician. Don't listen to me. But this idea that you can just take a pill and it's going to not allow you to have a child, but it's not going to screw up your entire mental and physical state as a woman. No, they're all screwed up from this stuff because that's what liberals are preaching. Get the pill, get the abortion. And it's like, it should be a last option at best. At best. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my compromising. If you want to say at best, it's got to be a last ditch option. Like, preach accountability. They're doing none of it. They're like, eat these pills, act like an idiot, do whatever you want, you know, polyamorous, pansexual, like polyqueer. It's like, just do whatever, you know, just slang around. Like, it's like, and just eat the pills. And then if that happens, just get 5 of them. It's like, no, that's kind of disgusting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should be like, not that. You should, it's the same thing. They're giving pills to everybody for everything all the time. And it's like, to me, that's what they're preaching. And I'm like, there's got to be some accountability there in some sense. And I understand it's an interesting issue because as a woman, you're having to deal with it more than a man. So, you know, I understand why women feel like they're more entitled to this conversation. And I'm not going to say I disagree because I'm not one of these self-hateful like David Hogg guys. Like, I'm a cis white male. I'm a cis white male. I shouldn't talk about this. I'm so sorry. Oh no. Don't look at me. I'm a cis white male. Like, I'm not one of those white guys that's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I exist in the first place. How can I stop? But at the same time, I get why women who've experienced it physically and mentally probably have much more insight than I have. I'm willing to admit that. But, you know, I think definitely the debate's getting ugly. And like, I'm watching literal left-wing stars. I forget her name, like Olivia Rodrigo or something. She's some like Hispanic like teen sensation. I was looking the other day in her story and it was like get on birth control now, or like it led to a doctor who was like a doctor had a thread of tweets and literally the second one said, go get on birth control as soon as you can. Like, this is, you get what I'm saying? And I don't even follow this person, but I'm seeing like, I noticed like a celebrity campaign when something hits, all the celebrities do it. And she probably has more fans of like women in that range, you know, of like, I don't know what, like college, high school range. And they're all just like the advice that they're giving to 10, I don't even know how many millions of people is like, go get the birth control, go get it now. And it's like, wow, what terrible advice. You know, like it's not good advice. Even if that was happening, it's like, what about telling them to be a little more accountable, not just like shove these pills in your throat that's going to change your body and mind. And, you know, it's like, that's the first option, not the last option. Something's wrong here, folks, for sure. Yeah, it's for sure fishy, but I like to like, you know what I'm saying? It's all, you just see it now, like when there's a political issues, all the celebrities weigh in. Is it part of their thing? Are they easily swayed? I don't know, but you notice it just like I do. Let's see. Someone said maybe men need to be more accountable. Absolutely. We can end on this note because like I said, I'm trying to be as nice as I can be because I don't like to be a hypocrite or like like this is a lot heavier of a subject for a woman because, and I'm not on some self-hateful thing, but like as a man, if you've never dealt with it or you don't have to deal with it, it is easier said than done. You know, it's definitely harder for a woman. It's a process that you will never forget as a woman, regardless of which route you go. So I understand that. And I think a lot of problems are rooted from men not having accountability. So, you know, it takes two to tango. And, you know, I think the men should naturally be a little bit more of the leader, you know, in society. So, yeah, I totally agree. I think men have let women down over the last 20, 30 years. And that's why I don't really like looking at, like women TikToks and stuff where they're all deranged. I feel bad because when I see that, I'm not like, haha, that woman's a loser. I'm like, who were her parents like? You know, what school did she go to? Like, I genuinely feel bad for these women that are like left-wing, deranged, lost, like, you know, like screeching like on TikTok. Like, I can't laugh at them. I really can't. You know, it's not funny to me. And I'm not like a downer, because sometimes it is funny, but I'm just like, who told this person to be this way? They must have had some pretty bad male role models in their life to get this way. I guess when I stop feeling bad for people is when they get to like, you know, Jen Psaki level, and it's like, all right, I don't feel bad for you anymore. But appreciate y'all. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Appreciate it. I just wanted to talk about a few things, and mainly it was one, I think the macro of this, it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel organic. It feels like this conversation was kind of injected into society for Democrats to win the primary. And I'm not saying that means you have to, like, you know, cave and not be yourself and not fight for what you believe in. I'm just saying this doesn't feel organic to me. And I know, just studying stuff, that Democrats are loving this and they're trying to win the next election with this. That being said, you know, I'm not asking anybody to cave. Everybody serves a different role. Some people, you got to be strong. Some people, unapologetic. I appreciate that for sure. But I just see in my own personal sphere, a lot of people, this is a real issue with a lot of people that I think personally, and this is just my belief, that Republicans would be wise to try to explain themselves honestly, accurately, and with the truth. Because I think some people, it's like, it's always this fight. Like, when left-wingers go insane, it doesn't make me want to listen to them. It makes me want to not be like them. And, you know, some people are just trying to be nasty and rude. And I understand, because there's life on the line. It's not a little issue. So I understand why people would feel that way. But, you know, I think the best way to convince somebody and gain a new, you know, subscriber to your argument would be to explain it. And it's not hard for me to do this. It's not like I even have to pander, because I know what it's like to think the other way. Because in so many ways, when I was 22, I fell for all of these traps. I don't have to be rude to people, because I was that person. You know, I could get a little rude sometimes, but I'm like, I feel like I'm talking to myself at 22. I fell for that trap. I fell for the global warming. You know, every little left-wing thing that now I've further evaluated and had a more nuanced stance on. I used to take it hook, line, and sinker, and I know why. It's because I had no access to these ideas. And the people that got through to me when I was younger were people that just said honest, you know, not people who were mean to me, not people who were rude to me, not people who were acting like this obvious complex issue, no matter how devious it is a weird moral conundrum. Because, you know, there is a certain point where this comes from nothing to something, and there is a discussion to be had, but to just be rude on either side is to me ineffective. And especially moving forward, you know, the more people that we have that understand this, you know, the easier it's going to be to get stuff done in society. But, you know, my personal stance at the end is, I think the Democrats are unwilling to, you know, to draw a line. If you try to draw here, they're going to act like you're literally Hitler and you're trying to kill everyone. So it's like, I understand why Republicans are going further too. It's like, at a certain point, why not? If they're not going to listen or compromise at all, like a DeSantis level, he tries to draw this line. They act like he hates all gay people. It's like, at what point do Republicans just say, who cares? You know, like it's unreachable. These politicians are unreachable. But remember, the politicians and these fringe lunatics on the networks, these are not your average voter. And these are not your average person. So never forget that, because they want you to think everybody acts like Joy Reid or everybody acts like Anna Kasparian and the Young Turks. And the truth is, the majority of the country is not like a Trump supporter, and they're not like a View watcher. And I'm not knocking Trump supporters. I'm just saying the average person in America who has a vote on the line doesn't even pay attention enough to really have a big stance. And it's, you know, I think that's the way to get through to people, is not to assume that everybody acts and knows that much. I mean, honestly, a lot of people, I think, know nothing. I think a lot of people are just so detached from these topics that they've never even thought about it. But, you know, that's where we need to, I think, get through to people from an angle of knowing that they're not all PhD, Noam Chomsky professors or, you know, 20-year Democrat like voters and viewers. They're like a lot of people that just kind of work or go to school, and they're like casually watching clips of like Stephen Colbert. You know, that's how I think of it. But appreciate y'all. Let me know what you think. Have a beautiful Mother's Day. And I'm going to be back tomorrow. I'm going to have a debate on my channel real quick with a woman. I think she was on The Apprentice. I believe she worked for the Trump administration. I made my video about Dr. Oz and Trump with the Johnson & Johnson, and she reached out to me and said, "Anomaly, you don't understand Trump." And I said, she was nice about it. So I said, hey, she's a little blue check mark, or, contributor to Turning Point, whatever. I said, come on my stream. Anomaly's an open book. You come on my stream. A lot of people in the Trump camp, it's not like she's convincing me. I don't care. I don't even vote in Pennsylvania, but I want to bring her on because she was super nice. And I want to have a debate with her publicly and say, listen, like, it's not just me. Like, most Trump supporters don't trust Dr. Oz, and they want to understand this nomination. It's not just me. It's like, what's going on with the Johnson & Johnson? We're not, So I'm bringing her on, and she seems like she has an argument for Trump and possibly knows him. She might, I don't know who she works for, but it seemed like she was like, I want to talk to you. And I said, I'm willing to talk. It's going to be more of a conversation than a debate, but I'm going to ask her, since she seems like she wants Trump supporters to support Dr. Oz, and she wants Trump supporters to, like the Johnson & Johnson stuff. So I'm going to bring her on. We're going to be super nice. Make sure you're super respectful to her. Anybody that doesn't treat me like a total dickhead, excuse my language, I'm willing to talk to them. It's these people that are like, Anomaly's a shill, Anomaly. And I'm like, just leave me alone, So she was nice. She gets to come on the podcast. We're going to have a discussion. And let's hear what the Trump campaign wants us to think about the Dr. Oz situation. It should be entertaining and interesting. See y'all on Monday. I'll be back soon.